From Royal Communications Incorporated, good morning and welcome to King's News Burn, 45 minutes news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of the world. It is Tuesday, July 8th, 2025, and I'm Newton Topa presenting stories we following this morning. The Ministry of Health launches Safe Mother Way to improve maternal and newborn health in Liberia. Health Minister Dr. Louis Poto calls on stakeholders to renew their collective commitment to protect mothers and safeguard newborns. Much publicized July 17 with the people protest gets more endorsement as central that's concerned. Civil society organizations declare support, accuse government of Liberia of rampant mismanagement of public resources and organized corruption schemes. U.S. government installs 1.8 billion agreement signed between the Liberian government and Avanho Alante describes it as a significant milestone for economic development and infrastructure expansion. Away from Liberia, at least 10 people have been killed in a protest, according to a state-run human rights body, the latest in a wave of anti-government rallies that began last year. U.S. President Donald Trump has warned that countries which side with the policies of the Brass Alliance that go against U.S. interests will be hit with an extra tariff of 10%. These plus the news bulletin, our international developments, our package. We'll take a very short break to be right back. At this junction, we cross over to Otis Sankan with the news bulletin.
Has officially launched Safe Mother Week aimed at improving maternal newborn health across the country. It is held under the theme Every Breath Counts, Strengthening Care for Mother and Newborn. Speaking at the launch Monday, Minister of Health Louis Poto emphasized the importance of every breath, noting that every life deserves the highest standard of care. She added that the Safe Motherhood Week is more than a campaign. It is a solemn call to action, adding that no woman should lose her life while giving life, and no newborn should be denied a healthy start. Dr. Poto further outlined the Ministry of Health commitment to strengthening maternal and neonatal healthcare system, noting that efforts are being intensified to reduce maternal and newborn mortality rates. According to her, several things, including expanding access to emergency austerity and neonatal care, increasing the number of skills, birth attendants, ensuring the availability of essential medicine, and addressing systemic barriers to care will be carried out. The Ministry of Health at the same time called communities leaders, healthcare professionals, development partners, and citizens to join hands in the effort to make safe motherhood a reality across Liberia. Dr. Koto also indicated that as Safe Motherhood Week unfolds, the ministry has urged all stakeholders to renew new collective commitment to protect mothers, safeguard newborns, and build a future. Death in childbirth are a thing of the past. A coalition of civil society organizations operating under the banner Concerned Civil Society Organization has formally endorsed the upcoming Enough is Enough protest scheduled for July 17. The pending July 17 protest is being organized by a schools of Liberians in collaboration with Solidarity and Trust for a New Day. Speaking during a press conference on Monday in District 10, Darlington Barkley, Executive Director of the Youth for That's Positive Change, said the endorsement stem for growing concern over poor governance and worsening economic conditions under the current Unity Party-led government. Barkley emphasized that ordinary Liberians are facing severe hardship, which he attributed to mismanagement and misuse of public resources by government officials. He also expressed hope that the protest could draw the government attention to urgent challenges facing the nations and compel leaders to take meaningful action. In response, Stern Chairman Moba Malou welcomed the endorsement, commending the civil society group for standing with the Liberian people. He also used the occasion to criticize the government National Reconciliation Initiative, labeling it as a symbolic gesture lacking real impact. Molu described the reconciliation effort as a mockery to Liberians, arguing that genuine reconciliation must be inclusive, actionable, and free from political showmanship. Meanwhile, the Liberian National Police Inspector General, Gregory Coleman, has issued a special statement calling on organizers of the protest to lead the protesters accordingly and avoid vandalizing properties. The U.S. government, through its embassy near Monrovia, has applauded the $1.8 billion agreement between Avaho Atlantic and the government of Liberia. Avaho Atlantic major shareholder is Arpos Incorporated, a U.S. company funded and chaired by Robert Farland, with numbers of U.S. high-profile institutional and private investors as shareholders. U.S. Embassy, in its release Monday, stated that it has officially welcomed the signing of a landmark concessions and access agreement between U.S. owned mining company Avaho Atlantic and the government of Liberia, marking a significant milestone in the country's economic development and infrastructure expansion. According to the release, the agreement, valued at an estimated 1.8 billion, is one of the most substantial foreign direct investment in Liberia in recent years. The embassy release further that the agreement aligned with President Joseph Boakar's national development agenda, particularly his administration push to implement a multi-user rail policy, a strategic initiative aimed at unlocking the full potential of Liberian natural resources through shared infrastructure. The U.S. Embassy release emphasized the importance of this agreement as a symbol of growing economic ties between the United States and Liberia. The U.S. Embassy reiterated its support for Liberia's commitment to transparency, good governance, and inclusive economic reform, and reaffirmed the United States' intention to serve as a long-term partners in Liberia joining toward self-reliance. Criminal Court Aid has approved the criminal appearance bond of Sarah's indictees in connection to the alleged burning of the Capitol building but placed hold on the release. Judge Roosevelt Willett Monday accepted a property bond proffered to the court by defense lawyer Counselor Reagan's Wright in the tone of over 400,000 United States dollars. The bond in question shield defendant John Yanti, Eric Cisse, Thomas Etheridge, among others, despite approving the defendant surety bond, according to our judiciary correspondent. Judge Willard has suspended the release. However, prosecuting lawyers have 3 days to challenge the legal credibility of the bond proffered by the defense lawyer to the court consistent with law. The defendants are among 14 other individuals, including former House Speaker Fanati Kofa, who were indicted recently by the special grand jury of the Moserado County in connection to the burning of the Capitol building on December 18, 2024. They were charged with multiple offenses ranging from criminal facilitation, criminal conspiracy, attempt to commit murder, arson, criminal mischief, among others. Sarah's passenger along the River G County Highway has sustained major injuries and placed under medical treatment following a devastating accident of their vehicle. The incident occurred during the early morning hours along the Jopokent Highway in River G County due to what eyewitnesses described to be excessive speeding and loss of control by the driver. No death reported so far. However, residents along the Jopoken Highway are calling for increased safety measures to prevent future incidents. About 35 towns and villages along the Malfat River in Grand Kitman County have expressed dissatisfaction over the alleged use of mercury and other chemicals in the Malfat River by Bear Mountain, which appear to be a source of safe drinking water for residents of the area. Addressing a press conference Friday, The lead counsel of the affected communities, Councillor Arthur Johnson, said the alleged use of chemical have allegedly led to loss of life, noting that it has also destroyed livestock, farm, garden of people who survive on sustained farming of the area. Councillor Johnson said he has written President Joseph Boakai, and if nothing is done to address the issue, he could file a lawsuit against the management of Bee Mountain at the ECOWAS Code of Human Rights, giving an ultimatum up to the end of July 31st, 2025. The Liberian renowned lawyer is demanding 100 million in damages by Bee Mountain Mining Company. Tension are rising within the Siwakudrat communities in Sano County as residents express growing concern about implementation and transparency of the Memorandum of Understanding signed between Depot Logging Company Liberia Limited and the local communities. Though Depot Logging, a Liberian-owned enterprise, is generally welcome for its national ownership, citizens are increasingly alarmed over the individual's appointment to present community interest in the agreement execution. Some of the residents argue that the inclusion of former community leaders who they claim failed then honor a previous logging concession is a troubling sign. In an interview with King's News, several residents reflected on their experiences during the operation of Madra Logging Company, which held a concession in the region for several years. According to the residents, many promises outlined in the MOU has not been fulfilled, particularly critical development projects, largely due to what they describe as ineffective leadership within the community forest and management and community assembly. In response to residents' concern, Debt Logging General Manager Nathaniel Nett told King's News that the company remains fully committed to the near-term outlined in the MOU. He noted that the implementation has already begun, highlighting ongoing road construction within the company's operational areas as an example of progress. The executive director of the Liberia Refugee Repatriation and Resettlement Commission has completed a week-long assessment of former Ivorian refugees in the southeastern region. The assessment visit took the LRRC executive director to Grand Jidet, Maryland, Refugee County to ascertain the integration of former Ivorian refugees into the Liberian society in accordance to President Joseph Boakai's executive order. Speaking in an interview, LRRC Executive Director Jackson Pay disclosed that about 269 former Ivorian refugees still needed to be issued resident permit. According to Pay, the Liberian Immigration Service has already issued 16 orders earlier, and more funding is needed to be issued in the later date. In an effort to enhance digital access and improve learning conditions at the Broom County Technical College, Broom County Senator Johnny Wade has donated a brand new set of Starlink Wi-Fi equipment to the institution. The donation, which took place on Monday in Banga, is aimed at providing reliable internet service for both students and the college administration. Making the presentation on behalf of Senator Wade, James Kennedy, a technician in Senator Wade's office, described the initiative as part of the senator's commitment to improving education in the county. The gesture is intended to ease the internet burden on students during assignment, research, and other academic activities. Receiving the equipment on behalf of the Broom County Technical College, Alfred Singh Takawenga, president of the institution, extended appreciation to Senator Wade. He described the donation as timely and significant, noting that it could help reduce the college spending on scratch card for internet services and improve online connectivities for academic purposes. For his part, the Student Council president of BCTC, Alfred Colley, praised the gesture, calling it a dream come true. The news bulletin.
Sankan with the news bulletin. The news bulletin is a regular feature here on King's News, bro. What if you just joined us? A reminder, you're listening to King's News, 45 minutes news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of the world. Today is Tuesday, July 8th, 2025, and I'm Newton, talk by presenting. Stories we follow in this morning. The Ministry of Health launches Safe Mother Week to improve maternal and newborn health in Liberia. Health Minister Dr. Louis put the calls on stakeholders to renew their collective commitment to protect mothers and safeguard newborns. Much publicized July 17 We the People protest guest mode endorsement as concerned civil society organizations declare support, accuse the government of Liberia of rampant corruption and mismanagement of public resources and organized corruption schemes. U.S. government installs 1.8 billion agreement signed between the Liberian government and Ivanhoe Atlantic, describes it as a significant milestone for economic development and infrastructure in Liberia. Away from Liberia, at least 10 people have been killed in protests, according to a state-run human rights body, the latest in a wave of anti-government rallies that began last year. U.S. President Donald Trump has warned that countries which side with the policy of brass alliance that go against U.S. interests will be hit with an extra 10% tariff. We'll take a break to be right back. Welcome back. On our first development this morning, the Ministry of Health has officially launched Safe Mother Week aimed at improving maternal and newborn health across the country. It is held under the theme Every Breath Counts, Strengthening Care for Mother and Newborn. Speaking at the launch on Monday, Minister of Health Dr. Louis Potter emphasized the importance of every breath, noting that every life deserves the highest standard of care. She added that the Safe Motherhood Week is more than a campaign, it is a solemn call for action, adding that no woman should lose their life while giving birth, and no newborn case should be denied a healthy start. Dr. Poto further outlined the Ministry of Health's commitment to strengthening maternal and neonatal healthcare systems, noting that efforts have been intensified to reduce maternal and newborn mortality rates. According to her, several things, including expanding access to emergency obstetric and neonatal care, increasing the number of skilled birth attendants, ensuring the availability of essential medicines, and addressing systematic barriers to care will be carried out. The Ministry of Health at the same time called on community leaders, healthcare professionals, development partners, and the citizens to join hands in an effort to make safe motherhood a reality across the country.
We all team every point counts. Strictly care for mother and newborn. I say before you, not only as your minister of health, but as a lifelong advocate of mothers and newborns. Our constitution acknowledges who have witnessed both the joys and the calamities of childbirth. Our team reminds us that every life is precious and every life matters. Say following is more than a campaign. It is so called to action. It reminds that no people should lose their life, while every life and all newborn should be denied in every start. Government of Liberia, through the Ministry of Health, reaffirms its unwavering commitment to improving our health system with a clear focus on reducing maternal and newborn morbidity and mortality. We are working tirelessly to strengthen care for mothers and newborn at all levels, ensuring that quality, respectful, timely care is accessible to every woman, every newborn, every day. We recognize that the health of mothers and newborn is a foundation of the healthy nation. as a ministry, are scaling up efforts to improve emergency protection and building of care, expand skill breakthrough attendance, ensure the availability of essential medicines in communities and address barriers that put lives at stake. But to review our collective resolve to protect knowledge, to safeguard newborns, and to build a future where no human dies in the breath and no human dies from preventable causes.
Health Minister Dr. Louis Poto. A coalition of civil society organizations operating under the banner Concerned Civil Society Organizations has formally endorsed the upcoming Enough is Enough protest scheduled for July 17. The pending July 17 protest is being organized by the schools of Liberians in collaboration with the Solidarity and Trust for a New Day. Speaking during a press conference on Monday in District 10, Montserrat County, Darlington Barkley, the executive director of Youth for Positive Change, said the endorsement stems from growing concerns over poor governance and worsening economic conditions under the current Unity Party-led government. Barkley emphasized that ordinary Liberians are facing severe hardship, which he attributed to mismanagement and misuse of public resources by government officials.
Civil society organizations, members of the press, and the entire hardworking people of Liberia. Whether you are a student, a market vendor, a teacher, a motorcyclist, farmer, a nurse, credit officer, street sellers, or daily hustler trying to survive in these troubling times. A warm greetings from the concerned civil society organization. We stand before you not as a politician, but as a concerned CSO, institution of Liberia, deeply troubled by the direction in which our country is being headed under the leadership of Mr. Walker. We recognize your pain. We hear the daily cries in the markets, on the campuses, in the ghettos, in the classrooms, and on the dusty road of our communities. Liberia is hurting, and the time to speak out is now. Today, we officially and unapologetically endorse the July 17 protest and stand with the Solidarity and Trust for New Day, which is stand to say enough is enough. We therefore support a non-violent and constitutional stand against bad governance, rising poverty, and broken promises. This is not just a protest, it is a national awakening, a demand for accountability, and a call to real leadership.
In response, Stand Chairman Moba Molu welcomed the endorsement, commending the civil society groups for standing with the Liberian people, and also used the occasion to criticize the government's National Reconciliation Initiative, labeling it as a symbolic gesture lacking real impact. Molu described the reconciliation efforts as a mockery to Liberians, urging that genuine reconciliation must be inclusive, actionable, and free from political showmanship. Meanwhile, the Liberian National Police Inspector General Gregory Coleman has issued a special statement calling on organizers of the protest to lead the protesters accordingly and avoid vandalizing properties. But here is Moba Molu.
I want to say thank you to the concerned civil society institutions that have come together to declare support for this legitimate patriotic process. This July 17th protest is a protest of the masses. It is a protest, the protest of the people. That's why we've declared July 17 as a day of the people. It is that day that has been set aside for your voices to be heard, for you to rise up in righteous, indignant anger to say to Mr. Boakai, enough is enough. I felt more provoked when I listened to a declaration of the president declaring this come Saturday as the day of reconciliation. I felt more provoked, I felt teased, I felt mocked, and I believe one guy's declaration of reconciliation is a mockery to the Liberian people, because reconciliation has to be practical. It has to be pragmatic. While there might be some goodness in giving state burial or memorializing former presidents, it is even more important to memorialize 250,000 war victims. It is equally important not just to memorialize and give dignified burial to former presidents, but also to consider the dignity of 250,000 victims of war that were brutally murdered, in some cases, mean some rape. We believe the president's decision to memorialize presidents or former presidents while neglecting to honor or dignify or grant symbolic burial to Liberian victims of war is grossly concerning and will not keep us silent. That is why we are not just protesting on the 17th of July, but there are a series of steps that have been itemized to commemorate or leading up to the day of the protest.
Meanwhile, Liberia National Police Inspector General Gregory Coleman has called on the organizers and protesters to operate within the confines of the law.
As we draw closer to the July 17 protest date, today makes it 10 days from that day. We have asked planners to engage with the Ministry of Justice to get a permit and inform law enforcement as to routes they intend to take so that we can provide the adequate protection. Up to today, we haven't seen any such engagement. However, we want to reaffirm our commitment to the democratic process that will provide the adequate protection necessary and will do whatever we can to ease the burden of those who will not be a part of the protest and will have to get to town. So as soon as we understand how and where they intend to gather, we'll continue to communicate with the public. We're asking everybody to keep tuned to our social media pages, to other radios and stuff, and we will be able to communicate adequately. But I would like to encourage each and everyone to go about their normal basis. Protest in this country has become a routine issue. So it's not something that say, oh, we're going to ask you to stay home and stuff like that. School remains open. Children can move back and forth and go to school freely. And people can go to work and everyone can continue their normal business. Like I said, there could be some disruption in the traffic, but we try to minimize the inconveniences through whatever means possible. To the planners, we are your police. Those who intend to exercise those rights. Constitutionally, it is your right under the by virtue of the Constitution, and it is my hope that those rights remain within the confines of the law. We will be there to protect, we'll be there to guide, and we'll be there to maintain law and order. In the event where it goes violent, we will restore order immediately within the confines of the law.
He's Police Inspector General Gregory Coleman there speaking. About 35,000 villages along the Marfa River in Grand Cape County have expressed dissatisfaction over the alleged use of mercury and other chemicals in the Marfa River by Bear Mountain, the river which serves as a source of safe drinking water for residents of the area. Addressing a press conference Friday, the lead counsel of the affected communities, Councillor Arthur Johnson, said the alleged use of chemicals have allegedly led to the loss of lives, and noting that it has also destroyed livestock, farms, gallons of people who survive on subsistence farming of the area. Councillor Johnson said he has written President Joseph Boakai, and if nothing is done to address the issue, he will file a lawsuit against the management of Bear Mountain at the ECOWAS Court of Human Rights, giving an ultimatum up to the end of July 31st, 2025.
Okay, thank you very much, distinguished ladies and gentlemen of the press, our people who are victims and citizens, some of the citizens of the Grand Cape Mount County. This press conference is called basically on issues of environmental pollution that have been caused by the Bear Mountain in Grand Cape Mount County. As you all are aware, Bear Mountain is a company operating under the laws of Liberia, but it is from a foreign nation, which base is in Europe. And in the exploration or the mining operations in Grand Cape Mount County, they happen to be using some chemicals in the washing of their minerals and what have you. And in this process, when they do this washing, the waste are placed, I would say, let's say, wasted in the Marfa River. The Marfa River is a river that helps these calm more than 30 to 35, 40 towns that survive around this Mafa River in terms of feeding, fishing, water, and what other activities for their daily lives. The crops, the animals owned by some of these citizens here present from the various more than 30 some more towns in Grand Cape Mount County, they feed their lively activities relied upon this Mafa River. Years back, before even this regime, past regime, up to present, the Beer Mountain had begun operating and wasting harmful product, which they can call it mercury or cyanide in the river. When they waste the chemical in the river, what happens is that anyone who drinks from that river will subsequently die. They will suffer, they will have sicknesses, they either suffer from liver problem, kidney problem. Any animal that drinks from that particular river dies. And all of the farms, the vegetation, or the farming activities that are conducted around that Mafa River have been destroyed and cannot be carried out simply because of the pollution.
He's Liberia's renowned lawyer, Councillor Arthur Johnson, there speaking. Well, folks, with the time half past the hour, if you just joining us, a reminder you're listening to King's News, Broom, the 45 minutes news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of the world. Today is Tuesday, July 8th, 2025, and I'm Newton Toba presenting. Stories will follow in this morning. The Ministry of Health launches Safe Mother Week to improve maternal and newborn health in Liberia. Health Minister Dr. Louis put the calls on stakeholders to renew their collective commitment to protect mothers and safeguard newborns. The much publicized July 17 We the People protest gets more endorsement as concerned civil society organizations declare support, accuse the government of Liberia of rampant mismanagement of public resources and organized corruption schemes. U.S. government installs $1.8 billion agreement signed between the Liberian government and Alvan Huelante that describes it as a significant milestone for economic development and infrastructure expansion. Away from Liberia, at least 10 people have been killed in the protest, according to a state-run human rights body, the latest in a wave of anti-government rallies that began last year. U.S. President Donald Trump has warned that countries which side with the policies of the brass alliance that go against U.S. interests will be hit with an extra 10% tariff. We take another break and we'll come back. We continue with more voices on the program. Welcome back. The Executive Director of the Liberia Refugee Repatriation and Resettlement Commission has completed a week-long assessment of former Ivorian refugees in the Soften region. The assessment visit took El Chuparasi, Executive Director, to Granjide, Maryland refugee counties to ascertain the integration of former Ivorian refugees into the Liberian society in accordance to the President Executive Order. Speaking in an interview, El Chuparasi Executive Director Jackson Pay disclosed that about 269 former Ivorian refugees still needed to be issued resident permit. According to Pay, the Liberia Immigration Service has already issued 16 orders earlier, and more funding is needed to be issued in later date.
We have people who were former refugees, Ivorians that came in here. Very large number of people that were here at some point in time. I understand it was around 17,000. Many of them chose to go back, and those that remain here, we still have them as our caseload. We have those that decide to locally integrate. That is to say, they want to be, remain in Liberia at some point in time. We have to integrate them officially. And those that decided to be exempt, that, when the war or whatever the hostilities are in Ivory Coast succeed, they want to go back. And then we have those two different communities that we have in the southeast that live in the PTP camp and also in the little whatever camp, which is in Maryland. And I mean, these are very, very, good, high-spirited individuals that I've seen. Some of them have been here for years, but still they are kind of managing, and they are happy that we gave them the protection that we gave them, and they are doing very well. And 144 was signed by His Excellency the President and gave former refugees who decide to integrate in the Liberian society the civil documentations that they require to transact business, to move about freely, and that was the executive order number 144 that was issued. Just the World Refugee Data we had just a few weeks back. Our partners, the Liberian Immigration and Naturalization Services, gave us the initial batch of resident permit. I think 16 of those out to the people, to the former refugees. And we are going to continue that process, but it's going to require a lot more time, for us to be able to reach in the southeast as well. LIS is using biometric system. So to go there, they will require funding. And we ourselves want to be a part of that when they're doing it. So you're more invigorated because what I saw in the southeast, not only in the southeast, starting with Ban right here in Nima County, the Ban refugee camp. We have vast land, arable land that can be utilized by farmers. And many of these Ivorians are farmers. And we have the land, we have the facilities. The buildings that were built by our partners are there, very durable structure. And what we want to do is to develop an agricultural program that will be able to cater specifically to the refugees or former refugees that are residing in these camps. Eventually, it's going to add up to our economy.
Jackson Pay is the executive director of the Liberia Refugee Repatriation and Resettlement Commission, speaking there. In an effort to enhance digital access and improve learning conditions at the Broom County Technical College, Broom County Senator John Ikwe has donated brand new set of Starlink Wi-Fi equipment to the institution. The donation, which took place on Monday in Banga, is aimed at providing reliable internet service for both students and the college administration. Making the presentation on behalf of the Senator, James Kennedy, a technician in Senator Ikwe's office, described the initiative as part of the Senator's commitment to improving education in the county.
Senator sent me here to be brief to present the Starlink gently selected the Broom Technical College as a humanitarian gesture. The fact that it means seeing there are some challenges in terms of internet connectivity from the Broom Technical College. So through humanitarian needs in the office, sitting here to present the Starlink gently. Not only presentation, but the issue is effective and connected from the Broom Technical College as a way of having a smooth operation with both offices of students in terms of internet connectivity. And I would like to extend my thanks and appreciation to the faculty and staff of Botanical College for coming to the presentation. This is your
Receiving the equipment on behalf of BCTC, Dr. Iverson Takawia, president of the institution, extended appreciation to Senator Ikwe. He described the donation as timely and significant, noting that it will help reduce the college spending on scratch cards for internet services and improve online connectivity for academic purposes.
On behalf of the Broom County Technical College, we are very grateful. We should extend our appreciation to the Senator for this gesture. This is not just a humanitarian gesture, it's professional, well supported, and we think it is timely because this is one major challenge we have had, where our students want to download information from the ground. We cannot have access to the quick or required internet service. With this presentation, we are highly delighted. So we say thank you very much. It's very timely. We'll use it for the internal purpose, and we'll make sure we have it well presented to our partners in progress, God, on behalf of the administration and staff, Mr. Colley, you are the newly inducted president for the students. I want to say we are presenting this for on behalf of the administration, that the senator office has given this that should be used for both administrative purposes and for the students' research purpose as well. So for and on behalf of our administration, we here welcome you to the uses of this facility. Thank you very much.
So, for his part, the Student Council President of BCTC, Alfred Cody, praised the gesture, calling it a dream come true.
Let me firstly appreciate the administration of the donor. We highly appreciate. We promise to use it for intended purpose. We will assure you. We highly appreciate your effort. And let me really looking at the transition of our new world today, the world of technology bringing this to us. It is a plus for us. It is a proof to us that you are care about the future generation. You are care about the world of technology. So we highly appreciate you. And we and the student community promise to use it for the intended purpose, and we fully utilize. Thank you.
The voice of the newly inducted Student Council President of the Broom County Technical College, Alfred Cody. Earlier, you heard the voice of the college president, Alfredson Takawia. And away from Liberia, at least 10 people have been killed in protest, according to state-run human rights body, the latest in a wave of anti-government rallies that began last year. Police opened fire on demonstrators, and earlier on, Dr. Aaron Sikuzu, a medic at Eagle Nursing Home in Kagemi, on the outskirts of Nairobi, who told the BBC that 2 bodies had been taken to the facility and had died from gunshot wounds. He said hundreds of protesters had gathered outside his hospital demanding to take away the bodies. These demonstrations marked the 35th anniversary of the historic Saba Saba protest of July 7, 1990, which launched Kenya's push for multi-party democracy. U.S. President Donald Trump has warned that countries who side with the policies of the Brass Alliance that go against U.S. interests will be hit with an extra 10% tariff. Any country aligning themselves with the anti-American policies of Brass will be charged an additional 10% tariff. There will be no exceptions to these policies, Trump wrote on social media. Trump has long criticized Brass, an organization whose members include China, Russia, and India. The U.S. has set 9 July deadline for countries to agree a trade deal, but U.S. officials now say tariff will begin on 1st August. Trump said he will send letters to countries telling them that the tariff rate will be if an agreement is not reached. On that note, I would like to go home this morning on this edition of the program King's Newsroom. But just before we go home, let's remind you of stories we've been following. The Ministry of Health launches Safe Motherhood Week to improve maternal and newborn health in Liberia. Liberia's Health Minister Dr. Louis Koto calls on stakeholders to renew their collective commitment to protect mothers and safeguard newborns. Much publicized July 17 with the People protest gets bold endorsement as concerned civil society organizations declare support, accuse the government of Liberia of rampant mismanagement of public resources and organized corruption schemes. U.S. government installs $1.8 billion agreement signed between the Liberian government and Ivanhoe Atlantic described it as a significant milestone for economic development and infrastructure expansion. Away from Liberia, at least 10 people have been killed in the protest, according to a state-run human rights body, the latest in a wave of anti-government rallies that began last year. U.S. President Donald Trump has warned that countries which side with the policies of the Brass Alliance that go against the U.S. interests will be hit with an extra 10% tariff. Otis Sankan was here with the news bulletin. I would like to say many thanks to all of our reporters, correspondents, news editors who helped me make it this package of sources. Join us this afternoon at 1 o'clock. I wish that will be your for another edition of the program. My name is Newton Tokma. I presented this edition of the program. Thanks for listening and watching. Bye-bye.